Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are Arizona.
From Chicago to San Diego, this road trip moves from the Midwest out to the coast as the D-backs open up a 3-game series against the Padres. Tonight, it's Zach Greinke against Luis Perdomo. Join us for D-backs baseball from San Diego on Fox Sports Arizona. Good evening from Petco Park and welcome to the broadcast. Steve Berthew and Bob Brenly along the way. It's our first visit to San Diego this year, and it comes on the heels of a tumultuous 24 hours for the Diamondbacks. There was the heartbreaking loss yesterday in Chicago, the shoulder injury to Jake Lamb that has Jake on the DL, and the acquisition, Bob, for the Minnesota Twins of Eduardo Escobar.
Yeah, you get the feeling this was in the works well before the Jake Lamb injury, but it couldn't have come at a better time for the Diamondbacks to pick up Eduardo Escobar. This guy is an established major league player. He's leading the American League in doubles this year. He's done that 3 times in his career. He's hit over 30 doubles, hitting .274 this season. He can play any position on the field, but figures the slot in at third base in the absence of Jake Lamb. Plus speed, plus power, plus defender. What's not to like?
Escobar is on his way here tonight. He won't get in till late, so we won't see him today, but he should be in there at third base starting tomorrow against the Padres. In the meantime, Ildemaro Vargas is here from Reno to help fill some infield depth. On the mound today, as we mentioned, Luis Perdomo for the Padres, and how about Zach Greinke for the Diamondbacks over the last 7 starts?
This is about as good as you can do it. 7 starts, a 6-0 record with an ERA just a tick over 1.5, coming off by far his most dominating start of the season. 8 strong innings, gave up only 1 run on 2 hits, punched out 13 Rockies last time out.
Greinke has been really fun to watch lately, so don't miss this one. The D-backs and the Padres coming up next on Fox Sports Arizona. D-backs baseball on Fox Sports Arizona is brought to you by CenturyLink, connecting you to the power of the digital world. And by your Valley Honda dealer, where you'll get more standard features for less money. brought to you by Jack in the Box. This season, D-backs home runs score free jumbo jacks only at Jack in the Box. By Dos Equis, keep it interessante. By Chaz Roberts Air Conditioning and Plumbing, choose Chaz. And by Gila River Hotels and Casinos. The card by Gila River Casinos earns you rewards 10 times faster than ever before. Sign up for the card today.
Overcast in San Diego tonight. That marine layer moving into Petco Park. Zach Greinke set to take the mound against the Padres, and the first pitch is next on Fox Sports Arizona. With some D-backs baseball from Petco Park in San Diego. Welcome to the broadcast. Steve Berthew, Bob Renly, Todd Walsh with you. A little humid right now, but you can see the gray skies overhead. That marine layer is in. But a very comfortable 75 degrees as we are set for the first of three. The D-backs and the Padres. And here's the Diamondbacks lineup tonight. That's brought to you by your Valley Chevy dealers.
John Jay will lead it off tonight out in left field. Paul Goldschmidt back at first base. A.J. Pollock will be in center field. Steven Souza Jr. out in right. Daniel Descalso getting the start at third base tonight. Ketel Marte will be at second. Nick Ahmed at short. Jeff Mathis, as usual, doing the catching for right-hander Zach Greinke.
And doing the pitching for the Padres is the right-hander Luis Perdomo. Just 1-5 at 8 starts, an ERA just under 7. He's your Ram truck starter for San Diego. A guy Andy Green says is still trying to build himself as a professional pitch maker.
I mentioned Zach Greinke's last time out, his most dominating start of the year. And for Luis Perdomo, his last time out, he got his first quality start of the year. Not nearly as dominating as Zach Greinke was, but steps in the right direction for the Padres right-hander.
E.D. Marshall Jewelers gives us a look around the diamond at the Padres defense tonight.
Will Myers patrolling left field tonight. Manuel Margot will be out in center. Travis Jankowski in right field. It'll be Christian Villanueva at third. Freddie Galvis at short. Carlos Asuaje at second base. Eric Hosmer over at first, with Austin Hedges doing the catching for the right-hander Luis Perdomo.
And calling the balls and strikes behind the plate, Ryan Addington is the plate umpire tonight. The crew chief Alfonso Marquez is at first base. Brian Knight's at second, and Pat Hoberg is our third base umpire. Time now, Bob, for your Valley Honda dealers key to the game.
Well, a lot of changes over the last 24 hours, so the D-backs are going to have to roll out the welcome mat. Matt Andres just joined the ball club yesterday in Chicago. We've got Ildemaro Vargas on board here tonight and anxiously awaiting Eduardo Escobar's appearance sometime tomorrow, so let's make him feel welcome.
Escobar will get in late tonight and should be in the lineup tomorrow for Torey Lovello. John Jay, the one-time Padre, leads it off on a Friday night from San Diego. Jay, 272 and 3 homers. He's in left field tonight. David Peralta getting the night off, at least to start the ball game. And John Jay slices one to left center field. Manny Margot can't short hop it. A hard single for Jay to start us off.
Always nice to start the game with a base hit. That could have been much more damaging, however, if Margot doesn't get a piece of that ball and at least knock it down. If that gets by him, that might be an inside the park home run.
Goldie, 277 and 22 homers, batting second against the right-hander. Checking in with Tony Perez-Chica, coaching at third. StatCast AI powered by AWS is coming up shortly. Goldie in the 4 games at Wrigley Field, 5 hits. He walked 4 times in that series.
Speaking of StatCast, Luis Perdomo basically throws 4 different pitches: a sinker, a 4-seam fastball, a slider, and a split finger. Used to be a serious ground ball pitcher, among the league leaders, but not as much of an extreme ground ball pitcher this year as he's been in the past.
Yeah, you just saw the slider there. That's probably his best out pitch. Fastball misses in. The fastball has been a problem. One reason why he's only 1-5 in 8 starts. Generally about 91 to 95 with that fastball, but it's been getting hit and hit hard this year. Opponents batting .345 against Perdomo's fastball. It's hard to win in the big leagues like that. They'll keep an eye on John Jay over there, 4 for 7 in his stolen base attempt.
At least as a starting pitcher, coming out of the bullpen in short bursts, you can get by perhaps with not using your fastball aggressively, but as a starting pitcher, he needs to have all of his weapons available as soon as he hits the ground.
He does have a split changeup that he's had some success with. Get that fastball down and in on Goldie. It's 2-2.
One of the numbers that jumped out for me about the Padres this season, they're 7-26 in first games of a series.
Ouch. Here's your StatCast AI powered by AWS. Not much of a shift against Goldie. So they're behind the 8 ball in every series they play this year, nearly. San Diego comes into tonight the worst team in the National League, 21 games under 500. And last in the NL West, they're 16 games behind LA. There's Andy Green, former D-backs coach. Full count on Goldie, 3-2. Jay takes off with the pitch. This is bounced up the middle. Asuaje steps on the bag and turns the double play.
Usually when that runner is in motion, it opens up holes in the defense, but in this instance, it led Carlos Asuaje right to the bag as John Jay broke for second base. Asuaje was responsible for covering the bag, and Goldie hit it right back up the middle.
So bases cleared, 2 down for AJ. AJ Pollock, a .294 hitter right now, 13 home runs. You mentioned that Perdomo has not been nearly the same ground ball pitcher that he has been before. Got 2 ground ball outs right there, but that's been a big factor in his problems. Ground ball rate at better than 60%, which was nearly the best in the major leagues last year. That number is down to just 40% this season. So he's not been nearly as effective. 2-0 on Pollock.
And because of the marine layer you mentioned earlier, you can get away with giving up fly balls in this ballpark from time to time. But man, when your strength is sinker, splitter, slider, everything down, 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 you want to put the ball on the ground.
Not giving AJ much here. It's 3-0. Souza on deck.
And we've seen the ball jump here a little better the past couple seasons than it did when Petco initially opened. It was like a graveyard. Of course, the fences were much deeper, but the ball just did not seem to carry well here at night.
And you wonder if all the construction behind the ballpark, one high rise after another has gone up there, has somehow impacted the way the park plays. A lot more buildings back there than there were 5-6 years ago even. AJ, a base hit in the left field, a 2-out single.
We talked about it last year when we came into San Diego. When they initially built this ballpark, it was just like a barren wasteland out there. There were only a couple of buildings that you could see beyond the outfield fence here, but man, has it built up.
Yeah, it's very congested out there right now. It's a lot like Washington, D.C. with all the construction around Nationals Park we've seen. Steven Souza Jr. in the cleanup spot. And hitting like a cleanup hitter lately, now up to 240 with a homer. 2 more hits yesterday in Chicago.
We've talked about it over the past couple of weeks. Diamondbacks not running nearly as much this year, especially at the beginning of the season last year. They was like a track team, and I think that reputation has followed the Diamondbacks, because if you're advancing this team, you'd say they don't run much, but they still draw throws to first base every time somebody gets on.
Yeah, of course, AJ, one of their chief base stealers, missed a big chunk of time with that thumb injury. Chris Owings, one of their best runners, is not in the starting lineup every day. Steven Souza Jr. has a nice track record as a base stealer, but they're not quite as fleet of foot as they were last season. Got to watch Austin Hedges back there. He can really throw, the Padre catcher.
It should be second nature coming off a series against the Cub, and Wilson Contreras, who loves to throw that ball to the bases.
Look at the Padres in their glorious brown and gold. Now they look like the Padres. They wear these uniforms in Friday home games. Seems like the brown and gold is kind of easing its way back into the picture, BB. Look at that. That looks great.
It's like any fashion. It runs in cycles. Bell bottoms are going to come back. Paisley shirts. I hope. I've got a bunch of them.
I was going to say that'll work out nicely for you. Bring those bell bottoms out of the garage. We always see brown and gold in the stands when we're here. Fastball in, but it's a strike, says Ryan Atherton, and it's 1-2 on Souza.
The standing joke for years around here was, if you ever need to grab any vintage clothing, you go to the governor's closet.
Right out of Saturday Night Fever.
Should be that split changeup, or perhaps just a circle change that time. Just misses low.
Daniel Descalso in at third tonight would be next. Boy, Perdomo really worried about AJ over there. Two is right there, the fastball, and Souza caught looking. Zach Greinke coming up from San Diego. Backs at Zach Greinke having another big year. Only 3 pitchers in the National League have won more games. Only 3 pitchers in the league have more strikeouts.
And facing a very familiar foe, 20 career starts against the Padres, a 10-2 record with an ERA of 2.14.
The speedy Travis Jankowski leads it off for San Diego. Fastball catches the corner, 0-1.
Watch how many times Zach Greinke's fastball or changeup ends up in that location.
That's where he lives, right?
The knees on the corner.
Look at this. His command in his previous start, when he was just so sensational Sunday against Colorado, was arguably the best we've ever seen.
It was video game like, where you set the cursor where you want the ball to go, and that's where it went.
Just spectacular in beating the Rockies Sunday. 1 run, 2 hits. He went 8 innings and finished with 13 strikeouts. 111 pitches, his highest pitch count this year as well. It has been a stellar turn through the rotation for the D-back starting pitchers. Just off the corner. And Ryan Addison rings up Jankowski, 1 away. Here's the lineup for the Padres. Valley Chevy Dealers gives us that.
The right fielder, Travis Jankowski, goes down looking at strike 3. Carlos Asuaje at second base, making his way to the plate now. He'll be followed by Will Myers, the left fielder. Eric Hosmer at first base, Manuel Margot in center field, Freddie Galvis at shortstop. Christian Villanueva will be the third baseman tonight, with Austin Hedges doing the catching for right-hander Luis Perdomo, who can swing it a little bit.
D-backs have the shift on for Asuaje, the second baseman, who looks at strike 1. Hitting .221, he's homered twice. Fastball's fouled back, and quickly it's 0-2. As we mentioned, Greinke has been sensational lately. Now Descalso and Ahmed will switch places with the shift on. Nick goes over to the shortstop spot with 2 strikes. Pretty standard for the Diamondbacks. Zach has given up just 8 runs in his last 7 starts. That's amazing. Fastball's low. And in those 7 starts, he's 6-0. His ERA 1.57. It's always interesting, Bob, when Zach starts a ball game to see which of the 4 pitches he might be favoring or trying to get going and create some momentum with.
Yeah, we've seen him, especially in the early part of the season, go out there to start a ball game, and it was like he wasn't quite sure what was going to be working until he got out there on the game mound and started to throw the pitches. Sometimes he'd put the slider in his back pocket until the second time through the order. Sometimes it was the curveball that he would save. Yeah, you just never know.
He missed with a slider that time, and that has been the pitch that has really improved recently, that slider, which was so good for him last year. Oh, fastball, it stays 2-2. He just had command of everything against the Rockies Sunday. Fastball, slider, changeup, the slow curve was devastating. Total control of all his pitches. This is tapped into the shift. Ketel Marte cleans it up. 2 down. Let's take a look at the Diamondbacks defense tonight. That's presented by E.D. Marshall Jr.
A.J. Pollock patrolling center field. John Jay will be in left. Steven Souza Jr. in right. The infield will be Descalso, Ahmed, Marte, and Goldschmidt, third to first. Jeff Mathis, as usual, behind the plate for right-hander Zach Greinke.
Will Myers, the number 3 hitter for the Padres. Now they've spread everybody out against Myers, who is leading San Diego with a .288 batting average. High slider that time missed. It's 1-0. Myers with 9 homers. You may recall a 3 home run game against the D-backs at Chase Field earlier this month.
Will Myers really into the spirit of the throwback unit. He's wearing yellow shoes tonight, or gold, I guess, whatever color that is, mustard.
Just glorious. 3 infielders on the left side now against Myers. And he hits one pretty high left field. John Jay in front of the warning track. And he's got it. A 1-2-3 first for Zach Greinke. No score from Petco Park. This is our first visit to Petco Park this season, which is very odd. July 27th, we don't make it to San Diego. The latest in the season the D-backs have ever played their first game of the year at San Diego. Descalso at third today, 263, 9 home runs. Swing and bunt, squib shot to first, and Hosmer cleans it up. D-backs this year 4-3 versus the Padres. They took 2 of 3 from San Diego back in April at Chase Field, and then split a 4-game set in a return trip to Phoenix earlier this month. Ketel Marte, 246 and 9 homers. Marte, 3 hits, 3 walks, a couple of RBIs in the series in Chicago to open up this road trip. Quickly down 0-2. Good slider from Perdomo right there.
Oh, it's really been fun to watch Ketel Marte and Nick Ahmed work their magic up the middle of the field, especially in that series at Wrigley. They made some highlight reel plays between the two of them.
Hosmer underhand toss to Perdomo covering, and he's retired 3 in a row.
Anytime the D-backs score 5 runs or more, Taco Bell is giving away 3 free crunchy beef tacos with the purchase of a large drink between 4 and 6 the following day at participating locations.
Yeah, we were joking with Torrey before the ball game today. He just said there was a lot of hocus pocus between Marte and Ahmed. It's kind of a disappearing baseball act. When ground balls go up the middle against this defense, they just vanish. And Nick was just sensational. One highlight reel play after another for Ahmed. And as we saw yesterday, continues to be an offensive contributor as well. He doubled and homered yesterday. The home run, the D-backs' first grand slam this year.
It was a beauty. Got it high in the air to left field through the wind that was blowing from left to right at that particular time.
There's that good slider from Perdomo. 1-1.
My staff is glad that Nick hit that grand slam. I could throw that card away.
You've been carrying that thing around for 4 months now. Yeah, Nick, if you go back over his last 22 games, he's got 12 extra base hits, 16 RBIs over that span, and he's hit about 300.
I think that's a big step for any ball player, but especially for Nick, a guy that has had that handle throughout his career as all glove, no bat, all glove, no bat. He can make plays, but he can't hit the ball. Well, of course, he's going to strike out now.
That was that slider again. Second strikeout for Perdomo. No score in San Diego. Diego. The 20th anniversary celebration is coming up Saturday, August 4. The annual alumni game festivities presented by Sanderson Ford. They'll start at 2 o'clock, followed by the special pregame ceremony honoring the 20th anniversary team. And then the D-backs and the Giants get there early, get the t-shirt giveaway courtesy of Gila River Hotels and Casinos. Visit dbacks.com. Big alumni day coming up Saturday, August 4th, a week from tomorrow. Here's Eric Hosmer. First baseman, 246. He's got 10 homers. Hosmer now, he's hit safely in 3 straight games, and he leads the Padres in hits this year. But I don't, Bob, think they got the guy they thought they were getting when they gave him $144 million. It's not that he hasn't been good, he just hasn't been that good.
And he may still be that guy eventually. That one hit hard to Marte. Another great play.
Nice high hop, a spinning pick by Ketel Marte at second.
Light on his feet and very quick with those hands. Gets his body into a good position to use those quick hands to make plays. If that ball happens to take a bad hop at the very end, he's all over it.
4 up, 4 down for Greinke. Here's Manuel Margot. .252 batting average. He's homered 3 times. Margot is the Padres' hottest hitter right now. He starts the series with a 7-game hit streak. That matches the longest hitting streak of his career.
And certainly a limited sample size, but Margot's had a little bit of success against Greinke. 3 for 5 lifetime. Also has drawn a base on balls against Zach.
Margot, since June the 1st, is hitting .303. He's been their best hitter the last 2 months. Is 23 years old, speedy center fielder. He gets into one, hits a high fly ball deep to left field. Western Metal Supply Company. And there it goes. The fourth of the year for Manuel Margot, and it's 1-0 Padres. Well, making now a career best 8-game hitting streak for Manuel Margot.
Home run number 4 on the season for Margot. Really went down and golfed that ball out of here. It was off the plate, in and down. Got the barrel on it, hit it high in the air. I think it got up into about the second and maybe the third deck of that Western Metal Supply building.
That's the 18th home run given up by Zach Greinke this year. In his now 22nd start. Here's the shortstop, Freddie Galvis. That was a pretty good pitch right there, Ryan Addison. Galvis 236 and 5 homers. Galvis just homered Wednesday at Citi Field against the Mets. Padres were off yesterday. He's been a productive bat lately. 10 RBIs in his last 8 games. Switch hitter batting from the left-hand side.
I've heard Freddie Galvis's name kicked around a little bit in trade rumors. Everybody's name gets kicked around in a trade rumor at this time of year. But when your team's 21 games under 500 and 16 games out of first place in your division, teams tend to look at you as a yard sale.
Marte again at second.
Yeah, Andy Green might have a whole new cast of characters in Brown and Mustard come next week.
You're not on board, huh? I can't get you to buy in.
It's all right. It's all right. You know, you're absolutely right about identifying them as the Padres. You know, nobody else wears brown uniforms other than the Browns themselves.
Yeah, and that's not working out too well for them.
Not
is it?
so good.
Christian Villanueva. He leads the Padres in home runs and RBIs. Fastball's a strike, 0-1. The Padres and San Diego has a great baseball history. Of course, this is Ted Williams' hometown, going back to when the Padres were a Coast League team. So there's a lot of history in this city and with this organization. And of course, Mr. Padre, the late great Tony Gwynn.
Beautiful statue, but that's a sight that scared pitchers for years.
I bet. It was the only scary thing about Tony Gwynn, who was just a wonderful human being. And very much beloved by this city.
It's a scary thought, but we talk about Tony Gwynn was the first guy to really extensively use video to scout opposing pitchers and to try to figure out what teams were going to try to do against him. Can you imagine if he had all the analytics and the video and everything we have available now? He might have hit 400 every year.
He was dragging around a giant antiquated VCR and videotape back in the 80s. Now you got 6 iPads in every dugout. Just off the corner. Full count on Villanueva, 3-2. The catcher Austin Hedges would be next. 3 infielders on the left side against Villanueva. Here it is. Swing and a miss. There's that slider. That pitch getting better and better. But Margot's homer gives the Padres the early lead.
Very good. It's very nice to meet you too. First of all, congratulations, and we're super excited to have you on board here. We got a tremendous situation here. We're a team that's going in a very special place, and you're going to jump right in and be a great part of that. So we're super excited to have you.
Thank you so much, you guys, for giving the opportunity to play with you guys, And I just compare there, so trust me, I'll be ready for you guys. Whenever you need me, I'll be 100% ready for you, okay?
That's wonderful. I knew that.
Well, that was courtesy of the D-backs Pat O'Connell. Torey Lovello talking with the newest Diamondback, Eduardo Escobar, on the phone. Acquired today for the Minnesota Twins for 3 minor leaguers, with Jake Lamb going on the DL after an aggravation of his shoulder injury. Here's Jeff Mathis to start the third. Escobar is flying in to the coast late tonight. He's not going to get here until after the game, but he should be in the lineup tomorrow at third base.
Yeah, he's a guy that throughout the course of his 8+ year career has played everywhere on the field but first base, including the mound, which this year comes in handy.
That's belted down the line. A fair ball. It caroms off the stands out there. And Mathis, who has hit safely in each of his last 6 starts, has a leadoff double in the third. Make it now 7 straight starts with a base hit for Jeff Mathis.
Well, he gets pitches from the middle of the plate in, occasionally off the plate inside, and he is ready to jerk pull that ball down into the left field corner. All of his hard hit balls recently have been to the left side of the field.
He's been a hitter all summer long, Jeff Mathis. Good start here as they try and counter the Margot homer. Greinke now. Mathis at second, nobody out.
This has to be a tough one for Andy Green to play defensively. We know how Zach can handle that bat.
Corners crash. Well, not so much. He pops it up, and Hedges has it in foul ground. That hurt. More on Eduardo Escobar. This acquisition, Bob, in talking about the player as a person and a teammate, has been universally applauded by everyone that's ever played with him or against him.
Even my scout in the American League had glowing reports about Eduardo Escobar and his utility, and for the fact that he's just good at everything. Solid all-around players. He's only 5'10", about 175 pounds, but he hits for power. He's got great speed. He's hitting .390 with runners in scoring position this year. He's a .300 career hitter with runners in scoring position.
Switch hitter. He can play shortstop. He can play third, which is where he figures to see most of his time as a Diamondback. Played a fair amount of second base as well. 1-0 on John Jay. That's slicing out of play. John Jay back in San Diego. He played the entire 2016 season with the Padres after he was traded here from St. Louis in exchange for Jed Jerko. Although he missed a good portion of that season with the Padres with a broken right forearm. 1-2.
John Jay for Jed Jerko, one of the more alliterative trades in the history of Major League Baseball.
Nice work and nice word. Perdomo trying to strand that leadoff double. Mathis back there at second. The Diamondbacks have a number of guys, Bob, that do this. John Jay does this. Ketel Marte does this. Daniel Descalso. They just battle you. Doesn't matter. 2 strikes, 1 foul ball after another.
Hey, you hear position players in post-game interviews after a win talk about grinding at bats. Grinding at bats. Well, this is what you call grinding it at bats. Sometimes you get to 2 strikes quickly, but find a way to stay alive.
How about that? Into center. Mathis takes the turn. The throw for Margot is offline, and he is in there. John Jay 2 for 2, and we're tied at 1. Well, Margot was in pretty good position to make a throw, fairly shallow in center, And Mathis able to sneak in and score.
Yeah, from our vantage point, we could see that Margot started that ball on the first base side of home plate, probably hoping it would tail back right to the plate, but gave Jeff Mathis just enough room as Hedges comes off the dish. Jeff in on his belly to score the first run of the game for the Diamondbacks. Ooh, that close.
Wow, that was close. Good answer by the D-backs. Tied at 1 now, top 3. Here's Goldie. Goldie hit a ball that looked like it was going to bounce into center field his first time up. Instead, Aswahe was there and turned to double play.
A nice job by John Jay, not only to drive home the first run of the game for the D-backs, to pick up his pitcher, Zach Greinke, who normally gets that bunt down, moves the runner up to third base, which makes it a little easier to drive home that run. But John Jay with a clean single into center gets Jeff Mathis on the plate anyway.
Yeah, he's hit the ball hard twice tonight now. Perdomo missed with a pretty good slider last time. Fastball got away from him, and now he's behind on Goldie 3-0 with Pollock on deck. Drives this one deep right field, headed for the corner, and it is just fouled.
Well, there's that little area down the right field line where the stands stick out a little bit. They call it the Petco porch. It's the one place in this ballpark you can get some cheap home runs right down that right field line in that little section, but that one just had a little too much slice on it.
Now, you mentioned the old wall. You can see that to the left of your picture there, that pink T-Mobile wall. That used to be the outfield wall in this ballpark when it first opened up, and it was a home run graveyard. I can still see Ryan Klesko slamming his bat and breaking it into the ground as he jogged up the first base line, thinking he'd hit a home run, but it turned out to be another fly ball out. Ballpark was enormous when it opened up.
Klesko and Phil Nevin, between the two of them, you want to talk about some Gumby shoulders. They'd get up there and just launch a ball 400 feet into that thick marine layer. It would die on the warning track, and you could just see their shoulders slump as they walk back to the dugout. Another one lost.
Full count on Goldie, 3-2. There goes Jay, and the fastball is low. First walk issued by Luis Perdomo. Here's Pollock, who singled to left his first time up. Darren Balsley out to have a word with his pitcher. They asked Darren Balsley about Luis Perdomo not too long ago, and he was saying, look, he will have moments of brilliance. He'll go through an inning or even 2 or 3, and he'll put the ball exactly where he wants to. But then he'll have an inning. Suddenly there's a 2-out walk, and he starts spraying the ball all over the place. So you never know when he's going to implode at any moment, but he's got pretty good stuff. They're still trying to harness it. He's only 25, a former Rule 5 pick. And he's made a mess of this inning so far. 1 out, 2 on. Here's AJ. A run is in. Pollock slams one to left field. And that one is off the wall. Jay will score. Goldie stops at third. It's 2-1 D-backs. RBI double for A.J. Pollock. He's 2 for 2.
Bad meeting. Boy, A.J. squares this one up. That's a line drive on like a clothesline out to the fence in left field. Will Myers tried to decoy out there that he was going to make a play on it, but wasn't fooling John Jay or Paul Goldschmidt. They both had great reads and easily able to advance.
Chance for Steven Souza Jr. Second and third, 1 out. Souza struck out looking his first time up.
104 miles an hour off the bat of A.J. Pollock.
Smoked it. The D-backs are probably anxious to put yesterday in Chicago behind them. Already 2 runs on 5 hits. That's a fair ball down the line. This will get Goldie home. A.J. right behind. Steven Souza Jr. with a 2-run double. And it's 4-1 Diamondbacks.
Diamondbacks just wearing out that left field line and straight away left field. Jeff Mathis put one right down the stripe. A.J. Pollock banged one off the wall. And now Steven Souza Jr. with a shot of his own down into that left field corner.
4 hits in the inning for the D-backs. 3 of them doubles. And the foot is on the gas pedal right now at Petco Park.
Always a good thing to attempt to knock that starter out early in the first game of the series. I talk about it all the time. You want to see as many of those relief pitchers in game 1 of a series as you possibly can. And it looks like we could possibly get into that Padres bullpen early tonight.
And it's a Padres bullpen that's much thinner now. They've sent a couple of key pieces elsewhere with a trade deadline approaching. Here's Descalso. That one gets behind. Hedges can't find it. Souza moves up. Big turnaround third. And he'll put on the brakes.
That was a wild pitch. It was in the dirt way inside that time to Descalso, but once again kind of a half-hearted reach across the body and backhand by Austin Hedges.
Daniel grounded out to first. Infield comes in for the Padres. Ground out at his first at bat. Now it's 1-1. And there is now action in that Padre bullpen. Got a left-hander warming up down there. Perdomo already at 50 pitches. That's a strike. Looks like Robbie Erlin, the left-hander. Yes, it is. It's a big weekend in San Diego. Speaking of Padre bullpens, Trevor Hoffman goes into the Hall of Fame in Cooperstown on Sunday.
I saw a bit on TV this afternoon. Bruce Bochy, the manager of the Giants, is actually taking off to go back to Cooperstown. He said that Trevor Hoffman helped make his career.
Some of the Padres coaches are taking the series off to travel out there as well. And Descalso, who has been a base on balls machine lately, has another one. That's his 13th walk in 13 games. And Perdomo is unraveling in the third. Second walk in the inning brings up Ketel Marte. Marte grounded out his first time. Already a 4-run third for the D-backs. Still just 1 out. Here's a fly ball deep right center field. That ball is going, and it is off the wall. Jankowski missed it. Souza's home. Descalso stops at third, and it's 5-1. Long run for Travis Jankowski, and he missed it out there in deep right center.
We got a lot of backspin on that ball, down and through and carried over the head of Jankowski and off the wall. They are just teeing up on Perdomo right now. You mentioned when it goes fast, and road tacos.
Always good. Ninth man to bat in the Diamondback third inning is Nick Ahmed. Infield still in for the Padres. Nick struck out to win the second. He squirts one into right. That gets down. Everybody had to hold up, so Descalso scampers home. Marte stops at third. It's 6-1 D-backs, a 6-run third, and that's going to be it for Luis Perdomo. Here comes Andy Green. D-backs have batted around. We'll take a break from Petco Park. Back with more after this. Ball, what's going on in Atlanta? The Dodgers are there. Alex Verdugo to deep center off Mike Foltynewicz, the All-Star. Braves had a 1-0 lead at that point, but Verdugo ties it. Then Yasmani Grandal gives LA the lead, and they win it 4-1. So for the moment, Dodgers are 2 ahead of the Diamondbacks atop the NL West. Rockies tonight are hosting Oakland. The Giants are home against Milwaukee. Here it's 6-1 Diamondbacks, a 6-run third. They batted around, still only 1 out. And on for the Padre bullpen, the left-hander Robbie Erlin.
Robbie Erlin had a run from the middle of April to the middle of June, 15 straight appearances without walking a batter.
Mathis led off this inning with a double. And now he bats for the second time in the third. He's got Marte at third base, Ahmed at first, and 1 out. So Jeff now sits safely in 7 straight starts. And in those 7 starts, he's got 5 doubles and 6 RBIs. Bouncer to shortstop. Galvis, Asuaje for 1, and they roll the double play. So Erlin comes in, puts out the fire. But it's a 6-run Diamondback third at Petco Park. A double from Jeff Mathis, a 6-run D-back third. And now the Padres bat in the home half. Sunday, the celebration of our 20th anniversary continues as Fox Sports Arizona brings you a new show on the D-backs 20th anniversary team. You'll meet the 15 players and the one manager chosen to be part of the all-time team, the D-backs 20th anniversary team, a special show produced by Josh Kelman. Debut Sunday after the D-backs and Padres right here on Fox Sports Arizona. Padres had a 1-0 lead after the Manuel Margot homer. D-backs answer with 6 for Greinke. And now the catcher Austin Hedges leads off the Padre third. Hedges 232 and 5 home runs. Hedges homered Wednesday at Citi Field against the Mets. He's hit the ball pretty well right now. And he belts that one to left field. John Jay pulls it out of the lights. One away in the third. So Luis Perdomo knocked out of the ball game before his spot in the batting order comes up. He lasted only 2 1/3, so here's Robbie Erlin, who got that double play ball to win the third. Perdomo gave up 6 runs, all earned, 8 hits and only 2 1/3. Walked 2, struck out 2. There's the strikeout of Erlin, the 3rd strikeout for Greinke tonight. He's now sit down 4 in a row since the Margot homer.
Considerably easier at bat right there for Zach Greinke. The fact that it was Robbie Erlin and not Luis Perdomo. Perdomo, as I mentioned at the top of the show, if he gets at bats, he can swing it.
Leadoff man Travis Jankowski. Fastball's a strike. Jankowski in a 2 for 23 slump right now. He's hitting under $160 in July. It's been a quiet month for him. He's always been more of a speed and defense type player than an offensive contributor. Guy who almost never plays against lefties. Former first-round pick by the Padres out of Stony Brook. He was a star on that Stony Brook team in 2012 that had a nice run in the College World Series. Holding at first. We'll head to the 4th. 6-1 Diamondbacks.
You know, to our front office's credit, they bring in really good guys here, and that's extremely important to me. It's something that I expressed to them from the very get-go, that team chemistry, good teammates, guys that have a really, I care about the right thing attitude.
Todd Walsh back here at Petco Park. Strike one to Zach Greinke to start this inning. Steve and Bob, that was an answer to a question that I posed to Torrey about Eduardo Escobar and the the personality that he will bring into this Diamondbacks clubhouse. That's a ball, and the reason I asked that, and I'm sure you guys are so keenly aware of this, this is a team that is loaded with personality and some guys that like to enjoy themselves, and we've seen them sort of make their way together as a group, and now you've got a high personality, entertaining type player on the field and off coming in, and I was curious to see what Torrey would say about adding to that.
Well, you know, it's funny oftentimes now in this day of social media, as Greinke punches one down the right field line, that's a fair ball. It's in the corner, and Zach Greinke cruises into second with a double. Oftentimes on Twitter, athletes, when they're traded or they change cities and teams, will tweet out a nice little message. Escobar, Todd, did that today, but he took it to a whole new level. He photoshopped himself in a tuxedo under a rainbow overlooking Target Field in Minneapolis, saying thank you, Minnesota. Now that is next level right there.
Outstanding.
That's the kind of guy you're getting here. Just a rave reviews from everyone about the teammate and the person.
I walked up to John Ryan Murphy, who played with him in Minnesota, and you may have seen it on Diamondbacks Live on the pregame show. I just said, so what are we getting? He just, the look on his face, he didn't have to answer the question. It was just a look on his face. He said, you're not going to believe this. And he's just raving about the kind of teammate. And then walked over to David Peralta's locker, and he was getting a voice text as I stood there from Escobar, raving about the fact that he's on his way and he played against him in Venezuela. So this will be, I think, a very interesting day tomorrow, to say the least.
John Jay punches one to right center, very shallow. Margot runs it down. It looks like he's going to be a tremendous fit. He's a high energy guy. He's a very good defender. He's got some pop, leading the league in doubles. He had a 20 home run season last year with the Twins. And let's face it, even with Jake Lamb both being injured for most of the season and slumping a bit lately, haven't got a whole lot out of third base this year. So Escobar could really be a great addition. Here's Goldie.
Well, and also it frees up Daniel Descalso and or Chris Owings to do what they're supposed to be. Utility guys, move them around different positions, use them as a double switch, as a pinch runner, pinch hitter, whatever the case may be. But because of injuries and ineffectiveness, those guys have kind of taken on more of a role down there at third base than they probably expected.
Yeah, if you have to, I mean, I don't want to say have to start Descalso, but when you do, obviously you lose his bat off the bench for later in the game at a key moment. Erlin just misses away. Goldie ahead 2-0.
And he's had struggles in the field, and Torrey Lovullo was asked about that today. That, does that have anything to do with the fact that he's been all over the place and the heavy toll that takes on your mind at the major league level? Something Torrey is obviously very familiar with. That was his role when he played.
Yeah, that's something about which Torrey's always very much aware. Guys who, struggle to get consistent playing time or consistent time in one spot. That was Torrey's career, really. And Daniel, as you mentioned, Todd, has clanked a few here along the way. It's a high hop for Galvis. Chases Greinke back to the bag and retires Goldie.
Well, it will be interesting to see how quickly he acclimates himself to the new ball club. Usually a guy comes into a new situation, you kind of walk lightly and let your game speak for you until you feel like you've earned the right to do what you like to do in the clubhouse. But we'll see. He might just come in with guns blazing. We don't know.
I'm going to say the latter. based on the rainbow tweet, just a hunch.
Here's AJ, who has singled and doubled. He's got an RBI. He scored a run, trying to get Greinke home from second with 2 outs. And in talking with Joe Brand, the fine young announcer who broadcasts Kane County games, the Twins got some pretty good players coming their way. The pitcher was a guy that threw 99 miles an hour. They had a nice outfielder that just had an 18-game hitting streak. So you got to give up something to get something. 3 minor leaguers coming from low A Kane County on their way to Minnesota. But this is a team that is win right now mode. And for obvious reasons, chance to get back into the postseason.
Well, the other thing, guys, and I'll get out of your way, but when you hear from like Joe Mauer back in the Twins organization who says it's like a punch in the gut, lose Escobar, you also understand what it's like for them back in Minnesota to lose a player of that nature, the personality of that ilk, and probably the imprint that he had on that team, that city, entire organization.
Well, Escobar has also tweeted out, no Photoshop this time, just saying he's ready for his next challenge in Arizona, thrilled for the opportunity the D-backs are giving him. He is ready to go and ready to give 100% like he always does. So it'll be exciting to have him.
He was probably not too thrilled, or the fans of the Minnesota Twins. I mean, that American League Central division is pretty wide open. I mean, the Twins were 7 back going into play tonight. They'd won 4 in a row, and they trade away one of their best players. That had to be quite a shock to the fan base in Minnesota.
He is headed for free agency at the end of this year, Eduardo Escobar. This is strictly a rental. Now, there's no reason you can't re-sign him, but he does get to test the free agent market at the offseason, so I'm sure that was the main motivation for Minnesota.
Wonder if anybody's demoralized in the West.
The Dodgers.
Nah, just a thought.
It's a nice counterpunch, I'll say that. They get the bullpen help with Andriese and now Escobar today. Trade deadline is coming up on Tuesday.
And I don't think the Diamondbacks are done by any stretch of the imagination. This is the time of year, like we were talking about before the ball game. What does it hurt? All they can do is hang up on you. You know, pick up the phone and ask for their best player.
Well, there was that report that the Dodgers had called the Washington Nationals about Bryce Harper, who's also headed for free agency this winter. Washington is kind of sinking fast in the NL East. Right to Freddie Galvis at shortstop. And they can't get Greinke home as Erlin strands that leadoff double, but it's 6-1 D-backs in the 4th.
Salute to the 20th anniversary team. 3 seasons so far with the Diamondbacks. A sparkling 41-19 record. ERA right at 3.5. He has been the guy they expected him to be.
You know, I think, Bob, that gets overlooked. People get hung up on the money, and not every start is a work of art, but he has been exactly as advertised, and in very large part, I think, exactly the guy that they paid for.
Yep.
He has delivered far more often than not. He's been exceptional so far tonight. He's retired the last 5 he's faced. He's coming off a 9-pitch third. 39 pitches in the ball game as Carlos Asuaje leads off the 4th.
That doesn't even talk about his offense and his base steal.
It's something to be said too. Asuaje. How about this? 4 outs on 10 pitches now for Greinke as Asuaje flies out to start the bottom of the 4th.
Well, and I think, you know, of course, it's a nice side benefit to having Zack Greinke on this pitching staff, but I don't know if you can put a value on how much the other pitchers have learned from watching how Zack goes about his preparation for a start. Looking at an opposing lineup and finding weaknesses in hitters. Nobody does it better than Zack Greinke.
Will Myers. Shift is on against Myers. 3 infielders on the third base side. 0-1.
Of course, it's one thing to have a plan, but then it's another thing to have the ability to go out and execute that plan as accurately as Zack does.
And it's been great to watch him work with his partner in crime, Jeff Mathis, back there. They are very much a dynamic duo. 0-2 on Myers.
Got a piece of his mask that time on that foul ball, right off that right extension out there to protect the right ear. Spun the mask right off the helmet.
Here's a look at the defense against Will Myers. And he can't check. Greinke gets his 4th strikeout. 2 down.
Day after every D-backs win, get 50% off all pizzas at regular menu price using promo code DBACS50 at papajohns.com.
Here's Hosmer, who grounded out his first time up. It seems almost, in watching Zack lately, impossible to believe, but he was winless in May. He went 0 for May this year. And when that month ended, his record for the year was 3-4, but it's been a whole lot better since. And another easy inning for Greinke in the 4th. He set down 8 straight and leads it 6-1. As we start the top of the 5th inning.
It's a move.
ASU night coming up at Chase Field. Coming up next month, Steven Souza Jr. Just around the corner. Show your school pride. Tuesday, August 21. Get this custom D-backs ASU cap and a discounted baseline reserve ticket. All for just $25 with our special event ticket pack. dbacks.com/ASU. That's a good look ahead. Souza had a 2-run double and scored in that 6-run D-backs 3rd. That chased Luis Perdomo. Perdomo lasted only 2 1/3. Robbie Erlin on to clean things up. How about Zach Greinke? A 9-pitch third inning, followed by a 5-pitch fourth inning. Now that's a couple of shutdown innings.
That's efficiency right there. He threw more warm-up pitches between innings than he did during the inning.
Right. First strikeout for Robbie Erlin tonight. Sousa strikes out, 1 down. Here's Descalso, the third baseman. Eduardo Escobar not arriving until late tonight. Descalso with third. They do have the D-backs Ildemaro Vargas on the bench tonight. He's up from Reno for some infield depth coverage. And it's got to be a little weird for Ildemaro Vargas. I know you'd always rather be in the big leagues, but right now he is sitting on a 24-game hitting streak with the Reno Aces. That's the longest in the Coast League right now. So I guess he has to take a break from his hit streak and fly to San Diego. There's a good chance he's going back tomorrow.
Yeah, we're not quite sure what the roster move will be. We're assuming that Vargas will probably go back tomorrow. That literally is a cup of coffee. He just got here in time to have a cup of coffee and a post-game meal and possibly be right back on a plane joining Reno tomorrow. But we'll see how it plays out.
There he is in the middle of your screen there on the right. Having a good year with Reno. He was a midseason All-Star, hitting 300 down there.
Well, he's shown some flashes when we've seen him in spring training. He's a real toolsy player. He can do a lot of things well.
And he's another guy like David Peralta, whom the D-backs found playing independent ball. There he is. David making sure he gets some camera time. Descalso sends one out to Myers in left field. Now Vargas for a while was playing with the Bridgeport Bluefish in the Atlantic League. That's independent ball. And Chris Carminucci, the same scout that found David Peralta, found Ildemaro Vargas, and now they've got a AAA All-Star in the system. Ketel Marte. Boy, Erlin having some success with that soft curveball he's got. You got the double play ball by Mathis to win that third. Gave up the Greinke double to start the fourth, but since then he set down 5 in a row. Fisted out to shortstop for Galvis. Bottom 5 at Petco Park. It's 6-1 Diamondbacks.
bat that goes 11 or 12 or 13 pitches. This is the entire inning for Zach Greinke. 5 pitches, 3 fastballs, a changeup, and an eephus curveball right back into the dugout. Our nationwide vision eye on the game. The Diamondbacks have had 8 at-bats of 5 or more pitches in this game. Zach only threw 5 pitches in the entire 4th inning.
And that was after a 9-pitch third. 44 pitches to get through 4 innings, and now Manuel Margot leads off the Padre 5th. He has the only San Diego hit tonight. A solo home run in the 2nd. The Padres led this one 1-0. D-backs countered with a 6-run 3rd. And so Greinke now has retired 8 straight since the Margot homer. It's a ball and a strike. Margot, when we last saw the Padres earlier this month, there's that curveball. Had a 5-hit game against the D-backs. That was in San Diego's 16-inning win at Phoenix on July 8th. Fastball hit 92. You know, Bob, we've seen Zach's velocity, which is never a big issue for him anyway, but the last couple of starts, instead of 89, 90, it's been more like 91, 92. Just like that one.
Yeah, you get the feeling there's more in there when he needs it. But, you know, when you can command 90, 91, 89, put it right where you want almost every time, there's really no need for that added velocity unless you have a lengthy at bat and you've been trying all your off-speed stuff and you want to show them something they haven't seen yet. But he rarely has to do that.
Loaded that slow curveball up there, but Margot can't keep it fair. As Zach was saying after his start Sunday against Colorado when he had 13 strikeouts, that there is a little more zip on his fastball. And he's aware of that. He feels confident now, or did feel confident anyway, against Colorado, throwing it out over the plate. A little bit more so than earlier in the year. Broken bat, and that's a dunk shot into left center. Margot 2 for 2.
Margot would normally be a threat to run. I'm not sure how aggressive Andy Green wants to be, trailing by 5 runs in the ball game, but pretty apparent from what we've seen from Zach Greinke through the early part of this ball game. They're not going to string together a bunch of base hits. They're going to have to find ways to get guys on the plate against him tonight.
There's Skip Schumacher coaching at first. Galvis grounded out his first time up. Margot with good speed. He's got 9 stolen bases. He has been caught 7 times. Fastball misses into Galvis.
7-pitch at bat by Margot, by far the longest at bat against Zach Greinke in this game tonight.
He's got both Padre hits. There's that fastball. Greinke putting it right down the middle. Galvis missed it. It's 1-2.
Yeah, that's when you call a challenge fastball. Here it is. I'm going to throw it right in the heart of the strike zone. Do what you can. There's no fear of Freddie Galvis going deep. Right down the middle of the plate.
Rockies right now leading Oakland 3-1 at Colorado. Giants home against Milwaukee. Zach keeps missing with some pitches now. Galvis has run it full 3-2. Again, Villanueva on deck.
Now, this could be coming from hitting coach Mark McGuire, telling him, hey, you guys are making it way too easy on him. Make him work a little bit, at least give him a chance to make a mistake. A lot of easy contact on first and second pitches of at bats. Looks like the Padres, at least so far in this inning, trying to be a little more patient.
Line to right. Souza backhands it on a short hop, and Margot is in at second. A base hit for Galvis. A pair of singles open up the Padre fifth.
I'm sorry, partner. It's a little concerning sometimes when you face an opponent for the second time, especially when you've seen him recently. You can see the numbers for Zach Greinke this year. The first time facing an opponent, the ERA is 4.46. The second time, it drops down to 2.65, almost 2 full runs. He's done that 6 times this year. This will be the 7th time facing a team for the second time this season.
Villanueva, little tapper. Greinke goes to second. They get one and can't turn the double play. Margot in at third. And Villanueva safe at first.
This wasn't really hit hard enough to turn 2 on that. Zach Greinke plays it on the second hop right there. Good feed to Marte at second, who unloads quickly to first, but Villanueva just had a little bit too much time, able to reach first safely and avoid that double play.
Greinke, in facing the Padres for the second time this year, you'll recall, did not pitch particularly well against San Diego earlier this month. That was back at Chase Field. Here's the catcher, Austin Hedges. Zach in that start against San Diego went just 4 to third. Walk 3, gave up 2 runs, 6 hits. Curveball's a strike, 1-1.
Yeah, Zach has faced the Cardinals twice. Pirates, the Brewers, the Marlins, the Dodgers. He's actually faced the Rockies 3 times this year, and as we mentioned, his last time out against the Rockies was as good as you can possibly pitch. 8 innings of 1 run, 2 hit ball, punched out 13.
Pitcher spot is up next. Reyes is out in the on deck circle for San Diego. And the bullpen gets busy again. Robert Stock, the right-hander, is up for the Padres.
That just tells me the numbers we've been talking about that second time around against the same opponent. I think Zach learns more from a start than the hitters do against him. He faces a team and maybe gives up some hits, maybe gives up some runs, and gets back in that video room and sees what went wrong, what went right. And the next time he sees that team, it's been a completely different story. The ERA almost a full 2 runs lower the second time around.
1-2 on Austin Hedges. Punches it to shortstop. Ahmed's going to have to hurry. Steps on the bag and turns the double play. Nick Ahmed, it's one highlight reel play after another. Saves a run with this hustling double play. And through 5 at 6-1 D-backs. in San Diego. Fans, MLB.TV now available at a lower price, $82.99. It lets you watch every out-of-market regular season game live or on demand. That includes MLB at Bat Premium. And that lets you watch live baseball in your favorite supported device. Visit MLB.TV. Take advantage of this special offer. Erlin back out there. They didn't have to hit for him. Nick has struck out. He's got an RBI single, 1 for 2.
Boy, that play by Nick Ahmed, it took a squirrely hop. Watch Nick's face right there as he attacks the ball. He had to make an adjustment with the glove. He times it so as soon as his foot comes down on the bag at second, he's already in his throwing motion to first base. You just can't do it any better than that.
You know, we need to talk to our producer, Brad the Big Dog Weimer, maybe Josh Kelman, and just see if these guys want to put together some kind of highlight reel of Nick Ahmed just this week.
Yeah.
I mean, it might last 2.5, 3 minutes.
Yeah.
This was yesterday at Wrigley Field.
Just one after another, going to his left, going to his right, coming in on the ball, barehanding, turning double plays. It's just been amazing to watch.
The throwing motion has always reminded me of Dan Marino, the old Dolphin quarterback. It looks unusual, but he just gets rid of it so quick, just like Marino used to have that quick release. He never took a sack. It's just really been fun to watch.
Well, we were talking about it earlier. Nick has made a believer out of me. When I first saw Nick Ahmed, the throwing motion was a little funky. It's not what you're used to seeing from a shortstop, and I wasn't quite so sure he was the plus defender everybody thought he was, but the more you watch him, I don't know if there's anybody better defensively at that position.
It's when you watch it, as you said, the more you see him, when you watch it every day, he constantly tops himself. And I remember the late great Kevin Towers, when KT was the GM, we were all raving about Didi Gregorius. Yeah. And KT would tell us, Didi's great, but we got a guy in our system who's better defensively. Better than Didi? Yeah, this guy Ahmed. And sure enough, KT, as he usually was right. Erlin goes to that changeup, gets the strikeout. 1 down in the 6th. Seven straight retired by Robbie Erlin. Here's the catcher, Jeff Mathis. Jeff doubled and scored in that 6-run D-back third. D-backs, 6 runs, 9 hits. Padres 1 run, 3 hits. Broken bat tapper back to Erlin. You know, we see a pretty fair amount of Robbie Erlin, and he always seems to do a pretty good job.
Yeah, he's effective. I mean, none of his stuff lights up the radar gun. He's got a pretty good breaking ball, but really nothing that stands out, but he just gets people out. A lot of soft contact.
26 appearances out of the bullpen for the Padres, 17 of them scoreless. And as a reliever, he's put up a 2.20 ERA.
And because of the circumstances here this year, he's actually had to start a couple ball games. Rarely walks anybody.
Just kind of one of those little bulldog lefty types. Greinke doubled his last time up. That was to lead off the 4th. He was left stranded at second by the top of the order against Erlin.
Kind of odd to see a pitcher at the plate and the opposing defense playing everybody straight up, but that's the kind of hitter Zach Greinke is. He got a base hit down the right field line, his first at bat in this game. We've seen him pull balls down into the left field corner, so defensively they play him straight up all around the field.
Chased a high fastball, and Robbie Erlin has retired 9 straight Diamondbacks, but the D-backs lead at 6-1.
It's a combination of a lot of things that, he's been trying to hone in for, the first few months of this season, and it seems like it's all kind of trying to come together right now, and that's why he's had that success, and just, looking forward to trying to keep it consistent and keeping him on that same path.
Todd Walsh back here in San Diego. Catcher Jeff Mathis, guys, to put a bow on your conversation just moments ago regarding pitcher Zack Greinke. I asked Jeff, is there one thing, and I wasn't surprised to hear the answer that really you're not going to zero in on one, but he did admit to the slider being a little bit better than we had seen earlier in that last start. Steve, I know you guys touched on that in that game against Colorado.
Yeah, the slider was the big pitch, the big secondary pitch for Zach last year. This year it's been more the changeup. The slider wasn't really very effective the first 2 months of the year, but it's been incremental progress, Bob. I think we've seen with that slider in the last 3-4 starts. It's looked a whole lot better.
And the good news for Zack Greinke is when he does lose one of his pitches, like it appears the slider has been inconsistent for him this year, he's got other weapons he can go to and still get guys out.
Corey Spangenberg hits for the pitcher Robbie Erlin to start the San Diego 6th. Spangenberg 1 for 17 as a pinch hitter this year, but the one hit was a home run. It's just the more you watch Zach, the more the Greg Maddux comp starts to formalize. It's just such a perfect match in terms of comparison to who he might be as he gets into his mid to late 30s. Marte at second.
Steve, if I could chase that, I think it's fascinating that you say that, and the key to that statement was the more you watch. I never really realized that about Zach. Not seeing him up close and personal like we do, start after start after start. The evolution and the fact that he can just adjust on the fly. And I don't think I've seen anybody quite like that in recent Diamondbacks history.
And it's what, Todd, I think makes him, we've talked about this all the time, so interesting to watch. It can be something different every night, and it might change in the middle of a game or early in the game when he figures out what he's got that night and what might not be working for him.
And the comparison with Maddux, one thing that they both do as good as anybody that's ever thrown a baseball is read swings. I remember Maddux, on days he would start, he used to come out in the dugout and watch the opposing team take batting practice every time he started, just to see guys that were maybe swinging a little bit too big, guys that are fouling the ball off the top of the cage, who's smothering the ball in the dirt. He take that information right into the game with him and then watch the batter's reaction to the pitches and come up with a sequence to eventually get to that strike three or the ground ball pitch he's looking for.
Jankowski sends that one out to left center. AJ can't quite get there. A one-out single, just the fourth hit for San Diego.
It's kind of interesting, Bob. You say that it was rare for me to see Zach Greinke out in the dugout before the game during BP today, but he was hanging around Dan Herron, and I was doing everything I possibly could to weasel my way into or as close to that conversation. But can you imagine what that was like?
Probably a little deeper than any of us could think about pitching.
Here's a Suaje, 0 for 2. 3 infielders on the right side, and you know we're around the ballpark every day, home and away in the clubhouse, and that's when you really get to see all the prep work in between the starts that goes into the game plan that Zach comes up with. I mean, we've kind of joked about it. It's like he studies for the SATs every week. There's a lot of homework and video work involved. It's not just let me roll out there and see if I've got a good curveball tonight. There's a plan of attack, and he emphasizes different pitches for different reasons.
Yeah, certain teams, you might not even need your slider against a certain opponent, or you might not need your straight changeup as much against a different opponent, but he'll figure it out before he gets out to that bump to start a ball game, that's for sure.
Well, and folks, just look at the scoreboard. It was 6-1 yesterday at Wrigley Field in Chicago, and we didn't see a shutdown inning. In fact, the Cubs started to nibble away at that game, and as I was talking to Torey Lovello afterwards, there was so much more to that loss than just what happened in the bottom of the ninth inning. But there was no way Zach Greinke was going to go out there with a 6-1 lead and have the Padres start to nick away at it.
And Suaje strikes out. Yeah, that's a great point, Todd. I think that annoyed Torey were the scratch runs that the Cubs got in those middle innings there. I mean, your closer's going to blow one every once in a while. It's going to happen. But I think you're right. Those middle inning runs here and there sort of irked him a little bit because there was a little sloppy baseball.
And the Cubs knew, and they were in attack mode.
There's Will Myers. And were you telling me, BB, that Rizzo hit another homer today?
Yeah, hit another one today against the Cardinals. I think the Cubs were down 5-2 the last time I saw the score, but Rizzo homered again today. Yeah, Cardinals won that one 5-2 over the Cubs.
Myers is flat out struck out 0 for 2. Zach not afraid to just zip that fastball in there when he wants a strike. There's Robert Stock, the right-hander. He will come on to start the 7th inning. Broken bat for Myers. Now there is Josh Johnson. He's coaching third here tonight, because there's a Hoffman going into the Hall of Fame on Sunday, so the other Hoffman is there. Glenn Hoffman, the longtime third base coach at Cooperstown, to see his brother Trevor get inducted over the weekend.
I bet they had some wicked wiffle ball games growing up, those two guys.
You better believe it, huh? Well, often with that changeup, looked like he was throwing a wiffle ball for all those years, I'm sure. Jankowski still down there at first, 2 outs. Fastball just a little too far off the plate. It's 2-2.
Yeah, talking about that Trevor Hoffman changeup. That was back in the day before spin rate and all the stuff we look at nowadays. I bet you Trevor Hoffman had as much spin on the changeup as he did on his fastball. He really threw a tremendous straight changeup with arm action that possibly looked faster than his fastball.
Swing and a miss. Zach Greinke. There's that slider we talked about. 6-1 as we hit the 7th. 6 innings, 80 pitches, a run on 4 hits. As the D-backs have a 6-1 lead starting the 7th inning. What's next brought to you by CenturyLink. Kind of a weird start time tomorrow. Game 2 of this 3-game set. Patrick Corbett against Tyson Ross. D-backs live pregame show comes at 5 o'clock. First pitch 5:40 here on Fox Sports Arizona from Petco Park, San Diego. Where the new pitcher for the Padres is the right-hander Robert Stock, who made his major league debut last month at San Francisco. His 7th appearance of the year. John Jay leads it off. Squirts this one to shortstop, backhanded by Galvis. High throw, Hosmer can't keep his foot on the bag, and Jay's aboard for the 3rd time tonight. E6.
A little jam shot with a lot of English right there. Looked like Galvis just didn't have a good grip on the baseball. Threw right over the top to make sure that was a true throw across the diamond, but pulled Hosmer off the bag. Jay Reese to lead off the 6th.
Corey Spangenberg stays in the game to take over at second base for Carlos Asuaje. Here's Goldie, who has walked, scored a run, and grounded out twice, 0 for 2.
7th inning, excuse me. That batting around in the 3rd messed up my score.
That's a tricky one. You got to draw those really thick lines.
Stock is kind of an interesting cat. He went to USC and both pitched and caught. He used to start the game behind the plate and then come in and close ball games. Started his career with the St. Louis Cardinals as a catcher, but quickly switched to pitcher and has been a pitcher since 2012.
Slider missed, 1-2. Stock on Tuesday against the Mets, a career high 3 scoreless innings, retired 9 of the 10 he faced, had 5 strikeouts. And he punches out Goldie, put that one on the resume. 1 down in the 7th. Here's AJ, who has singled. He's got an RBI double, 2 for 3. Stock was closing games for the Padres AAA club at El Paso. Converted 8 of 9 save opportunities. That's fouled at 3rd. Dodgers beat the Braves 4-1. Rockies have beaten Oakland 3-1. Giants home trailing 2-1 against Milwaukee. They're in the 7th. Popped up along the right field line. Long run for Spangenberg, who's got it in fair territory. 2 outs in the 7th. That'll bring up Steven Souza Jr. Steven had a 2-run double in that 6-run D-back 3rd. So make it now for Souza. Counting tonight 16 games since he came back from the pectoral injury. In those 16 games, 8 extra base hits and 11 RBIs. So he's been a productive middle of the order bat. You get Pollock healthy again, you get Souza healthy again, you lose Lamb. But now Escobar is on his way, and it just, Bob, has the feeling of one of those acquisitions where a couple of months down the road you look back and go, you know, that when they got Escobar, that's when everything really came together. So we'll see if that is what happens, but it's certainly a positive move.
Well, I'm sure there are fans out there that are looking back to last season. The addition of J.D. Martinez is a different kind of a player. J.D. Martinez was great and did some amazing things for the Diamondbacks and continues to do so for the Red Sox this year. But Eduardo Escobar is going to add a lot to this ball club in a lot of different ways. He's a good base runner. It rains extra base hits when he's at the plate. Tremendous defender, as we mentioned before. He figures to play mostly at third base, but if needed, can play other positions.
Yeah, they don't have any word as of yet on the extent of Jake Lamb's injury. Jake was having an MRI this afternoon, Torrey told us, and they would review the results with the doctors tomorrow morning, so they'll have a better picture of the shoulder bruise tomorrow. It's just one of those years where Jake could never really get going, missing all that time. He hurt himself 4 games into the season, and he just felt sick for him, having to be out so long. And when he came back, it's hard to get it going full speed again, I guess. And now he's hurt again. Boy, Stock has got some zip on that fastball. We've seen 98, 99. Full count, 3-2. Hosmer behind the runner, Jay at first. There he goes. And Souza lifts it in the air to right center field. Margot's under it. And we stretch in San Diego at 6-1 Diamondbacks.
Against the Padres here tonight. Everything working well for the D-backs. Right-hander spotting his fastball on both sides. Good change-ups down. He's thrown a few eephus curveballs. The slider has been much improved tonight. So everything's working well for Zach.
He's got 6 strikeouts. He's not walked a batter. Struck out Oswahe and Myers there to win the 6th. And now Hosmer leads off the 7th. Zach has given up just 1 run on 4 hits. The Margot homer in the 2nd. And he has been tremendously efficient so far. Hosmer 0 for 2. He's grounded out twice. Punches that one into left center. Hosmer's run into something of a power drought. His last home run came here at Petco Park July 14th. That was against the Cubs. That's been his only homer in his last 35 games. That's in a little more than 150 plate appearances. Here's Margot, who homered in the second and singled in the fifth. Some stirring now in the D-back bullpen, and I wonder if we'll see Matt Andriese, newly acquired from Tampa Bay. Haven't had a chance to see Matt yet after he was picked up Wednesday for a couple of minor leaguers. This might be a spot if they get Greinke out of there, which we'd see Andriese. Descalso start the double play. They get Margot at first, and quickly 2 down.
Ground ball leads Daniel Descalso right to his throw to second base. No wasted motion whatsoever. Into the glove, out of the glove. Turns it into an easy double play.
Second double play turned behind Zach Greinke tonight. Here's the shortstop, Freddie Galvis. It was nice to see in Tampa Bay the other night Michael Perez, the catcher, one of the guys the D-backs traded to Tampa Bay for Matt Andriese. Start right away and get a base hit, his first major league hit.
Well, I know that made one guy happy on the Diamondback staff, Robbie Hammock, when he was coaching the Fire League team, the instructional league team for the Diamondbacks. Had Michael Perez down there, worked with him extensively.
Catcher Michael Perez and right-hander Brian Schaefer went to Tampa Bay Wednesday for Matt Andriese, the right-hand reliever. And today Eduardo Escobar picked up from Minnesota for 3 minor leaguers, all from lower A Kane County. So the front office is busy wheeling and dealing. They are all in 2018 trying to win the NL West.
Obviously, it's always a crapshoot when you give up young players to get an established major leaguer. They're called prospects for a reason, because you're not quite sure what they're going to be in a couple of years or 5 years down the road in the case of some of these young guys.
And none of these guys have been top 10 prospects. You're dealing guys mostly from the lower levels of your system. But when you've got Zach Greinke and A.J. Pollock and Patrick Corbin and Paul Goldschmidt and other guys, you're not worried about 6 years down the road.
No.
You got to win now when you've got these guys here. And so the commitment has been there big time from owner Ken Kendrick all the way down. And with Andriese, you get, I believe it's 3 years of control after this one. Escobar becomes a free agent this winter, so that's a rental. But even when you're adding pieces to win in 2018, Mike Hazen and company thinking about long term as well. Zach now just over 90 pitches, trying to get through the 7th. He completed 8 full innings against the Rockies on Sunday. 111 pitches, his highest pitch count this year. 2-2 on Galvis. But you would think with a 6-1 lead through 7, that would be it. Corey Lavello and Mike Butcher talking about that right now. This is out to left center field, and it drops in for a base hit. Galvis' second hit tonight.
It was the longest at bat of the game against Zach Greinke. 8 pitches that time for Freddie Galvis, who's played 269 consecutive games, and that's the leader among active players right now.
Yeah, he's a guy that likes to play all 162. Done that in Philadelphia the last couple of years. Mathis out to talk to Greinke now. And there's more stirring in the D-back bullpen. No one throwing as of yet. But we've got some guys starting to stretch and get loose down there with Zach at 93 pitches.
Just a little refresher here how they want to attack Christian Villanueva, a guy that can hit that ball in the seats. He's got a lot of swing and miss, but he's also hit 19 home runs this year, so they want to make sure exactly how they're going to attack the third baseman.
Leads the Padres in homers and RBIs. But those numbers you see in the bottom of your screen there, they're a little deceiving because Villanueva is a guy who mostly feasts on left-handers. Most of that damage has been against left-hand pitchers. Two outs in the seventh. Just upstairs with that curveball. Trying to land that for a strike. There's a look at Villanueva, strictly a pull hitter. Fastball's up. Hard slider from Greinke.
Nice crowd here at Petco for a Friday night. It's a beautiful evening here, Southern California, just as you'd expect.
Very comfortable here. They're doing pretty well, the Padres, for a last place ball club. It's a real nice atmosphere in here. Nice and comfortable tonight. We know it's getting a little stormy back home. Flash flood warnings. Winds picking up. Another slider, 2-2. The catcher, Austin Hedges, would be next. Galvis down there at first. 2 outs, 2 balls, 2 strikes. Into the shift. Marte's got it. And Zach Greinke is through 7 in San Diego, holding a 6-1 lead. Tonight, Rockies hosting Oakland. Nolan Arenado is at it again at Coors Field. 3-1 the final. Colorado beats the A's. So the Dodgers have won. The Rockies have won. The Giants are trailing Milwaukee at home. They're late in that ball game. And here in San Diego, it's 6-1 Diamondbacks. Daniel Descalso leads off the 8th.
Rockies' victory tonight broke a 6-game winning streak for the fighting Melvins in Oakland.
Descalso walked and scored on that 6-run D-back third. Yeah, they're in the 8th inning at AT&T Park. It's 2-1 Brewers over the Giants. Zach Greinke. 7 innings of 1-run ball. No walks, 6 strikeouts. No one warming up with the D-back bullpen as of yet. Greinke has thrown at least, pardon me, exactly 18 pitches in each of the last 3 innings. And it looks like we might see Matt Andriese make his D-back debut as Descalso strikes out to start the 8th. There's Matt Andriese, acquired Wednesday from the Tampa Bay Rays. Right-hand reliever. Got a very good changeup. That's why they think he can be effective against left-handers. And he can give you multiple innings. He's a guy that can go 2 or 3 innings if need be. Here's Ketel Marte.
Has been a starter throughout the course of his career. We were talking about it the other day. Basically, he's kind of the same cat that Randall Delgado was, a guy that you could spot start if necessary, get multiple innings out of the bullpen, or play matchups in the mid innings of a ball game.
Woody, that's your future.
Yeah, he's a right-hand pitcher, as you can see, but left-hand batters are hitting only 174 against him this year. So it looks like we'll get our first look at Matt Andriese coming up. 0-2. Padres bullpen has some new faces back there. They traded a couple of guys this week, notably their closer Brad Hand went to Cleveland along with Simber, so they got some new guys back there. Sure, Brad Hand is good to get him out of the NL West.
Yeah, and I'm sure the right-handed hitters for the Diamondbacks won't mind missing Simber anymore either. That submarine delivery that he was featuring.
So the Padres moved some of their better bullpen pieces at the deadline. They got a very good catching prospect from Cleveland. Everybody's been busy. That's a fair ball as Marte punches it down the line. Myers picks it up and holds Ketel Marte to a single. He's 2 for 4.
Left-handed hitters always make this look so easy. Let the ball get deep in the zone, a late swing right down that third baseline. A lot of risks involved at the very end of that swing. Drives it past Villanueva down into the corner for Will Myers.
Here's Nick Ahmed now. Nick had an RBI single in that third.
Got it this day in baseball history for you, partner.
Have we done that yet? Did I miss that?
Well, we're doing the 20th anniversary team. We're saluting with our Geico. But back in 1978, and I'm quoting here from nationalpastime.com, light hitting Indian second baseman Dwayne Kuiper.
Oh, your favorite.
Becomes one of only 3 modern major leaguers to hit 2 bases loaded triples in one game. He had 1 career homer against right-hander Steve Stone.
See, I thought that was going to be the anniversary of that.
Oh, there'll be fireworks when that comes. But 2 bases loaded triples on this day back in 1978 for Smoothie.
Of course, now the great play-by-play voice of the Giants, their former teammate.
Also on this date in 1968, Denny McLain picks up his 20th victory of the season.
On his way to 30, right?
Yeah. 30 or 31 was it?
Yeah, can you imagine a guy winning 30 games?
Oh. Most guys only start 32 or 33 games a year.
And that's considered an excellent season if you can make 30 starts, go 200 innings. Those are benchmarks. Jankowski in right. I was going to say earlier, are there also, with the D-backs acquiring Escobar from Minnesota, the Phillies picked up Asdrubal Cabrera from the Mets today. Philadelphia adds some infield help. There's Phil Hughes in the bullpen. Cole Hamels, how about this? You see this? Cubs, who have pitching problems, picked up Cole Hamels from the Texas Rangers today. And Hamels having a lousy year. He's 5-9. The ERA is about 5. This is skied near the Padre dugout, and Hedges has got it. And we'll go to the bottom of the 8th inning. 6-1 Diamondbacks in San Diego. Here tonight, our Chaz Roberts air conditioning and plumbing cool plays of the game. Greinke 7 innings, only 1 run allowed. He didn't walk a batter, had 6 strikeouts.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, over his last 7 starts, Zach Greinke's had 5 base on balls. 3 of those came against the Padres last time out.
There are the numbers: 1 run, 6 hits, and 7. So Greinke, including tonight, in his last 8 starts, has given up a total of 9 runs.
A special run right now.
And on to start the bottom of the 8th inning, making his D-back debut, the right-hander Matt Andriese, acquired Wednesday from the Tampa Bay Rays for a couple of minor leaguers. Here's his numbers from the American League East this year. A former minor league or spring training roommate of Brad Boxberger. They were bullpen buddies in Tampa Bay for several seasons. Chris Owings checks in at third, replacing Daniel Descalso.
You mentioned Andriese pitching in that American League East, and that's always a factor too when it comes to evaluating potential trade targets or free agent acquisitions. Where have they been playing most of their games? Who have they been facing a lot? If you have to face those teams in that American League East an awful lot, your numbers might get inflated a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Red Sox had another interesting game tonight. Kimbrel gave it up in the 9th. The Red Sox had a 2-1 lead. Twins came back to score 2 in the 9th. Rafael Devers hit a home run to tie it up, and then Mookie Betts in the 10th hit a home run to win it for the Red Sox. They just keep rolling.
Well, this is a nice soft landing from Matt Andriese in which to make his Diamondback debut. A 5-run lead against the Padres here. 2-1 on Austin Hedges, the Padre catcher. Andriese is a guy, as you said, Bob, who could fit that Randall Delgado mode. He's thrown at least 2 innings 16 times this year. That's tied for the 2nd highest total in baseball. "27 games with Tampa Bay. He's made 4 starts. Hedges hits one deep to left center, and there it goes. So Matt Andriese, his first batter as a Diamondback, gives up a home run. And Austin Hedges has his 6th of the year. Well, I guess it's good to get it out of your system.
Yeah, you might as well. It can only get better now.
Yeah, Hedges is no fluke. He's got some power.
Kind of an unusual delivery from Andriese. Throws across his body a little bit. Really has a high front side with that left arm, hiding the ball well. But just grooved one at 93 right there to Hedges, and that's what Hedges tries to do every swing.
Yeah, Hedges had 18 homers last year. That's number 6 this season. Here's Corey Spangenberg.
Nasty changeup right there.
That has been a great pitch for Andriese, a reason he's held lefties to a 174 batting average this year. But he says he's been using his curveball a little bit more as well against those left-handers. There's the fastball for a strike. Well, there's that changeup, and of course, not only did Andriese play with Brad Boxberger in Tampa Bay, played with Steven Souza Jr., and Souza said that Andriese has a cut changeup. There's a look at it right there. It's got a little cut and run on it instead of just dropping straight down like, say, Zach Greinke's changeup might.
It probably just depends on the grip and what he does with his hand and wrist at the point of release. Most right-handed pitchers, when they throw a changeup, will, what is that called, pronate their arm when they release the ball, so they get a little action away from a left-hander down and into a right-hander. But I've seen a few pitchers that kind of cut their changeup to get it to go away from a right-handed hitter and down.
Yeah, Andriese says sometimes people think he's got a split finger pitch, but it's actually more of a cut changeup than a splitter. That was it right there. Yes, he went, says Pat Hoberg at third. It's 0-2. Jankowski singled his last time up. That's got a nice package here for Andriese. That good fastball, a curveball, that cut change.
And you would imagine that Andriese will lean heavily upon his catchers. At least the first time around, get to know the hitters in the National League a little bit.
Andriese is a guy that came up through the minor leagues as a starting pitcher, and down the road here in Arizona, he could get the chance to start, but not this year. D-backs have 3 more seasons of control on the contract after this year. Boy, that was a terrific pitch. Didn't get the call that time from Ryan Addington, and it's 2-2. That was the changeup. Yeah, that should have been strike 3.
Bad things happen when Brad Boxberger didn't get a called strike 3 yesterday to Ben Zobrist.
So Pirela in the on-deck circle. Pitcher spot is up next. Well, here's a bouncer to first for Goldie. Jose Pirela off the bench to bat for the pitcher. Mike Butcher has become pretty standard whenever there's a pinch hitter announced. Makes a mound visit. See the numbers on Pirela, 259 and 3 homers.
Well, during this mound visit, partner, I got one more for you. This day in baseball history, 1988. Tommy John becomes the first pitcher to make 3 errors on the same play.
I wonder why you picked that one.
Well, he tried to get my record.
Pull a Brenly.
He bobbled a ground ball. That's 1 error. Throws it down the right field line where that's 2 errors. Dave Winfield picked it up, tried to throw it home to get the runner, and Tommy John was in a cutoff position, caught the ball and overthrew home plate. 3 errors on the same play. Well, the Yankees still beat the Brewers that day 16-3, but Tommy John tried to give it away that day.
He's always been asked about the famous surgery named after him, and he's always said he's just glad the doctor wasn't a proctologist. 0-1 on Pirela. Big cut at that one. There's that changeup. Tommy, did you ever talk to Tom? Well, you've talked to Tommy John.
Yeah,
he is a lot of fun.
He really is. He's a piece of work.
Yeah, he's a character. Very engaging guy.
He's a lefty. Can't help himself.
Well, that changeup is working, and Andriese does a nice job bouncing back after the Hedges homer. Couple of strikeouts in his D-backs debut as we hit the 9th at Petco Park. Have a 6-2 lead. Fan season tickets for next year on sale right now. Get access in 2019 to the best seats for the lowest price, and you can choose your season ticket plan. You can choose your seats. You can choose from a full season ticket package, a half a season, series, or weekend options are available as well. And we'll help you out. Log on at dbacks.com. D-backs fans, as always, a lot of them here in San Diego. Some of them were chasing you down the street earlier today.
Yeah, I ran up the street to a convenience store to pick up some sundries, and geez, every restaurant you walk by, you know, there's outdoor seating up and down the gas lamp district, and yeah, people were calling out, "Hey, welcome back, Grandpa."
Bill Hughes, the veteran right-hander, is out to start the night.
A lot of Sedona red.
Report out there floating around that the Brewers have just acquired Mike Moustakas.
Really?
Third baseman. Yeah, there's some D-backs fans here with us. You always see a whole bunch. Chris Owings leads off the night. CO 198, 3 homers. Took over at third base for Daniel Descalso. This is punched along the right field line and headed for the seats. It's out of play.
I lied, partner. I have another one. This is a salute to Nick Ahmed's grand slam yesterday at Wrigley Field, the first one of the year for the Diamondbacks. Back in 1998, Sammy Sosa hit his first career grand slam after hitting 246 career home runs. He got his first grand slam on this day in 1998 and then came back tomorrow and hit another one.
Boy, I remember Sosa in 98. So that's the year he went on the run with the Cubs. One after another. Owings gets it in the air to center for Manuel Margot.
There were a lot of good this day in baseball histories as I looked through them last night.
Well, this is what happens when you give your staff some time off. You have to do your own work.
Work myself, yeah. In 09, Josh Willingham became the 13th major leaguer to hit 2 grand slams in the same game. Sticking with the grand slam theme.
John Jay singled twice. He's got an RBI, scored a run.
Well, you might go weeks as a major league position player without ever coming to the plate with the bases loaded.
Yeah.
They had 2 slams in the same game.
Oh, 0-2 on John Jay. There's Phil Hughes, former Yankee, former Minnesota Twins starter. Now working mostly out of the Padre bullpen. Giants now trailing 3-1 against the Brewers. They're in the 8th inning in San Francisco. Rockies beat Oakland 3-1. Dodgers winners in Atlanta 4-1. So the D-backs, if nothing, hopefully nothing changes here, will remain a game and a half behind LA for the NL West lead. Rockies will be 2 back. The Giants, if they lose, will be 6.5 games off the pace in 4th. It's a 1-hopper to Hosmer at first. Well, it's been a relatively quiet night for Paul Goldschmidt. He hit into a double play in the first. Walked and scored in that 6-run third, then grounded out, struck out. He's 0 for 3. D-backs have out-hit the Padres 10-7. They lead at 6-2. All 6 runs coming in that 3rd inning. As Luis Perdomo Lynch is 2 1/3 today. Don't forget, D-Back Live pregame show comes your way at 5 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Game 2 of the 3-game set. Patrick Corbin against Tyson Ross. And then Sunday, Clay Buchholz takes them out against Joey Lucchese. Goldie knocks that into center, a base hit.
Corbin against Ross tomorrow. That'll be slider mania.
You might see 50 million sliders. Although a lot of folks thought maybe Tyson Ross would be traded before the start tomorrow. He's another guy that teams might be interested in at the deadline, but still scheduled to start for the Padres at 5:40 here tomorrow. A.J. Pollock now. There's Tyson Ross, the big right-hander. Phil Hughes missed with a curveball, 1-0. A.J. singled. He has an RBI double. 2 for 4 tonight. Well, it didn't take long to get right back into player of the month form for AJ. Had to get his feet under him there for a while once he came back from the left thumb fracture. But last 15 games, he's hit almost .330. A couple more hits tonight. They've gone to the 9th inning in San Francisco. Brewers still lead the Giants 3-1. 2-2 on A.J. Pollock. Souza would be next. Hosmer playing behind Goldie at first now. 2 outs, full count, 3-2. There goes Goldie. And AJ skies one behind third. Galvis is over there with Villanueva. And Galvis, the shortstop's got it. Bottom 9 on the way from San Diego. It's 6-2 Diamondbacks. with you. Our Gila River game summary. Another outstanding effort from Zach Greinke. 1 run, 6 hits in 7. 6-run Diamondback third after Manuel Margot gave the Padres an early lead with a solo homer. And that 1 inning is held up all night long thanks to Greinke. Matt Andriese in his D-back debut out there for his 2nd inning of relief. And Will Myers leads off the Padre 9th. Myers 0 for 3, struck out twice. That's going to reach the seats and out of play. Padre bullpen, after Perdomo imploded in the 3rd, has done a very good job. Robert Yerlin worked 3 2/3 scoreless, gave up just 1 hit, had 3 strikeouts. Robert Stock 2 scoreless innings with 2 strikeouts. Third base just by Seal and into left. A base hit for Myers. There's Eric Hosmer. Hosmer singled his last time up. He's 1 for 3. Andriese gave up a home run to the first batter he faced as a Diamondback. The catcher Austin Hedges to lead off the 8th inning. But then Matt bounced back, got the next 3 with a couple of strikeouts. There's that changeup, that cut changeup that makes him so effective against left-hand batters. His former Rays teammate Brad Boxberger will get loose down there in the bullpen. He is still the closer, says Torey Lovullo. Torey was insistent about that today.
Yeah, Hosmer, one of the few Padres with some history against Matt Andriese from their days in the American League. 3 for 11 lifetime. Jose Pirela had a couple of at-bats against Andriese, and Chase Headley. Headley.
Former Padre great. 0-2. Goldie starts it. 3-6-3. Third double play turned tonight by the D-back infield.
Well, I'll tell you, usually there's a sense of urgency on a 3-6-3 attempted double play, but Goldie's so much under control. Same thing for Nick Ahmed out there at second base. Hosmer does not run well. They knew they had plenty of time to turn that double play.
You will never convince me that there's a first baseman that does that better than Goldie.
I guarantee you there's no right-handed first baseman that does it better. You may find a lefty from time to time that can unload that ball quickly to second base, but no right-hander does it as good as Goldie.
It just makes it so routine. And the curveball, strike 1 on Margot. 2 outs in the 9th. Margot has homered and singled. That's foul at third. Margot, after Greinke had retired the first 4 in the ball game, hit one into the Western Metal Supply Company building down the left field line against Greinke, his 4th of the year. That made it 1-0 Padres. D-backs answered in the top of the 3rd with 6 runs to chase Luis Perdomo.
Just a few seagulls starting to make their presence felt here at Petco Park. The only thing I can gather from this is the food must be better at AT&T, because there's dozens and dozens.
Hundreds. High fastball. Matt Andriese gets the strikeout, and the D-backs get the win. They beat the Padres in the opener of this 3-game set 6-2, and that is the victory for Zack Greinke, his 12th of the year.
Good ball game all the way around. Diamondbacks really took advantage of a subpar Luis Perdomo tonight, jumping on him for 6 runs in that 3rd inning, and Zack Greinke and Matt Andriese made it stand up.
Greinke 1 run on 6 hits in 7, didn't walk a batter, had 6 strikeouts. Andriese works the final 2.